So apparently this whole thing's a Pandora's box, because you never know what's going to happen when you're working on this thing. So like I said before, I've been having issues with my ignition coil, or I thought I was having a problem with the ignition coil. That was my theory with how it was running and with the misfire codes. I pulled that off yesterday to test it and see what's going on, and I'll make a video on how I tested it and whatnot. But while I was doing that, and I'll throw the video up when I found it, but I found those two bolts gone, just absolutely gone. I'm like, that ain't good. And that bottom one was kind of backed out. So I started looking, and surprisingly, I kept one bolt. Somehow this thing backed out, fell against the firewall, and landed on some wires and hoses that were on the firewall and stayed there. So, but I am not putting that crap in. And apparently the last person used too long of a bolt, decided to throw a nut on there, which I do not like. I know it works, I don't like it though. But so what I did is I ran down to Ace, love it. Ran down to Ace, grabbed me some brand new ones. They're 8.9 bolts. They're a little bit shorter than those, but as you can tell, there's a regular washer and a lock washer on both of those. So I'm kind of hoping that will keep those from falling out. I'm just going to keep an eye on them. Apparently these things shake like crazy and rattle themselves apart. But so yeah, put those two in. Now there was, let me see if I can get a shot at it. Y'all see that brass tab right there? So that goes on that bottom bolt. I can't get back there. It goes on the bottom bolt, and it's a locking tab. So it's just like wiring or tying your bolts together, your bolt heads together. Same concept. It's just a stamped piece of metal, and you bend the tabs over and keeps them from backing out, whatever. I was going to try to get that back up there, even though it wouldn't work with those bolts because of how they're flared heads. But I just want to get it back up there, and I cannot get to that bottom bolt, and I'm afraid the only way you can get to it is pulling everything out, and I'm not doing that just for that bottom bolt. It's tight. So like I said, I put the lock washers on, so I really technically shouldn't need that, and it ain't harming anything being like that how it is, so I'm just gonna leave it like that. But yeah, I swear it never ends with this stupid thing. It's just one thing after another. But I'm glad I called it. I'm glad it didn't completely come off, because that would have been a bad day. But yeah, so got her out. Actually, I had to use the slide hammer to kind of twist it around because it wasn't aligned right. So I had to give it a couple little gentle bumps. I wasn't really yanking on it. I just needed a couple little bumps. And you can't really get a pry bar down in there. You can pry it up, but you can't pry it down because that'll break. So, but yeah, we'll wrap this up, and like I said, I'll make a video on the ignition coil when I go to test it and testing the new one, so you can see the numbers difference. So I wanted an update on how I ran the O2 wiring and everything. So like I showed in another video, I got it going through the firewall, through the dash, and everything like that. If this thing would stay. Cool. Alright, so if you can look right here, this is my oil pressure sensor. She's not doing too good. I've had her just tied up there because I have not installed the oil pressure sensor. That one, she got a little toasty. I'm gonna have to probably splice that one and fix that one. That was on me. However, this one right here is my O2 wire. She's getting a little toasty, but not bad. How I have it attached, I just have it attached here, and basically from this point on, it's fine. So as you can tell, it's just this piece right here that's getting hot. So what I'll probably end up doing, I don't want to change it. I like it where it's at. It still works very well. I'll probably put some heat shield on it, try to keep some heat off of it, and because I wish there is nowhere to attach up here. I could probably take all this crap, the cowl off, drill holes, do all that. I could probably do that. I'm definitely going to be putting some heat shield on that to protect that. But I just have her ran this way. She's actually cooled up right here. Let's see, let me do this. All right, so she's cooled up right here for now, but and then it just goes down that way. I just used a antenna off the truck or anything, just pull the antenna off, tie it to it, and step it through there, and that's how I have it ran down to the O2 sensor itself. But yeah, you are right, it does get hot right here, and she's starting to see it. She's getting a little stiff, nothing crazy. She's fine, still reading fine, but definitely need to put a heat shield on it. And like I said, I might try to figure out how to pin it up. I just wish there's already pre-made holes or something where you could do it. I just use sheet metal screws like that is. I don't know what that is, don't ask me, and go from there. So, but that's an update on that. Currently, I've been chasing a misfire code. Thought it was plugs are good. Thought it was wires are good. Thought it was the ignition coil. It is not the ignition coil, and I'm probably gonna make a video on how to test ignition coils because I thought I could test them, and it's a little bit harder than you think. And I don't have a bad ignition coil, but I was just working off of the specs per the service manual for these cars. It's not that easy, so that's that. But I'm pretty sure I have a bad injector. So after trying all that, I took the number 1 injector, because that's where I was getting 2 codes. I was getting a misfire number 1 and random misfire. So I pulled number 1 injector, put it number 4, and put number 4 in number 1. And as soon as I started driving it and seeing if I can get that code to come back, I got a code on cylinder number 4. So I don't know if it's dirty injectors or bad injectors. I'm pulling them off right now so I can get them bench test, flow test, and see how they're looking. Might have to buy another set of injectors. We shall see, but that's what I'm working on right now. And please ignore these god-awful long studs right here. I will be cutting these. I changed these studs out because I didn't have a stud to go with these Boomba fuel rail. The guy I bought it from didn't come with it, so I ended up getting rid of the stock studs because I didn't like how they were and how I didn't like having it held down by these nut things for the cover. So I went and got me some threaded rod, put it in there, and now I got nuts on there. And what I'm going to do is cut this stud down to the point where I can put these on, run them down, and still put my cover on if I want to. But yeah, ignore those studs. They will be getting cut. I knew I was going to be pulling this fuel rail off again after I moved the number 1 to number 4 injectors. I had a feeling I was going to pull it off, so I left it alone. I didn't want to pull it back apart when I was going to have to put it back together and all that good stuff. So that's just me being lazy for now. So ignore those. That's what I'm working on. Hopefully they just need to be clean, and we'll go from there. All right, so got the injectors back and had them flow tested. They actually came back good. Did a pressure test on them, see if they leaked down. They weren't leaking down, so I don't think, and the guy that was testing the injectors doesn't think the injectors are bad. So I don't know what it's going to be. I ended up getting new O-rings just in case. It might be it. I don't think it is. But got those back in and got my studs shortened so they look a whole lot better, not sticking out 2 feet. And there's a guy commented on one of my other videos when I put the O2 sensor wiring and everything in, and how I went through the center of the dash straight back, and he asked how it was holding up against the turbo heat and stuff like that. So I already wrapped them up, but they were getting burnt. So the stock AEM cover on the wires does not hold up to the heat whatsoever. I had my oil pressure sensor wire coming right over, and it was just tied up there because I haven't put it on, but it got toast. Now the O2 started getting toast, but it wasn't there yet. So I just went on Amazon, bought some of this reflective Velcro wrap for it, and it's ran right across, and I got it butt up as much as possible back there, and that's facing the turbo. So that should keep all the heat out and let it run like that. I still like that way better than any other way. So got that should be good. I'm gonna put my strut brace back on, finish everything up, run her and see. My next guess, if what I did in the injectors, and like I said, flow testing, they were fine, pressure testing, they were good. Put new O-rings on, and I made sure I torqued down the fuel rail bolts or nuts, whatever you want to call them, down to, I think it's 23 Newton meters, or like 17 foot-pounds or 200 inch-pounds. Torque those down to make sure I got a perfect seal, make sure there's no excess air coming around or anything like that. It'll eliminate the injectors completely, everything on that side. I'm gonna run her, see what she does. If that doesn't fix her, I think I might have an issue, because I've been reading the service manual and the procedure to following the random misfire code. And one of the things it says is check the circuit for the ASD, the auto shutdown circuit. It might be that, from what I can tell, because like I said, I'm having the misfire codes, and I've also had it where at low idle, especially like pulling a parking lot or parking spot, she'll just cut off. She'll start right back up, but she'll just cut off. And then other times I've had it where it doesn't want to start, and I have to sit there, try to crank it, and then it's not want to start, and I finally get it cranked over. I don't know if that's correlated or not, but that's the two main things, is the misfire code, and then also the random just shutting off when at low speeds pull into a parking spot or something like that. So we'll wrap this up, run her tonight, see how she does, and go from there. But like I said, that's my fix for that. Still like it, still glad I went that way, but the guy was right. It did not like the heat, at least the sheathing on the stop, or the AEM. I can't speak. It's been a long day. Lord have mercy. But that sheathing does not hold up whatsoever to that heat of that turbo exhaust manifold and everything. So that should cover it. I think I bought it for like 17 bucks, and I still have all that left. So I'm definitely going to go over the engine bay and find wiring or whatever I want to cover up, try to keep some heat out of it. But that should be good, and go from there. So I swear, it never stops with this thing. Still loving her, but she's definitely giving me a run for the money. Yep, that's my problem right there. Shit.